This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, gone.
Go Hayes gets a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, I can tell you from the Treehouse today, we have an absolute jam-packed show. We've got the Mark Kotze show, followed by, it used to be the Bob Melvin show. So we went back-to-back, Bob Melvin and Mark Kotze today. Trevor May, who has been outstanding for David Force, is going to join us up here. And, of course, the general manager of your Oakland Athletics, David Force, leading us off here in the Treehouse. How are you on a Friday, the last homestand of the year?
Yeah, it's hard to believe we're already here in September. It's been a long year, but we've nice 3-3 road trip, and hopefully some more W's ahead in the last 16 games of the season. So here we go.
So many different people, who are working around the team. This is it. But for the front office, it never stops, right? So it's like everybody goes, oh, this is it. Goodbye, everybody. You're like, well, you're right back on it. So it's never like you really ever stop.
No, it's not. The hours change, but the work doesn't. So, yeah, we're already sort of close to off-season mode, thinking about things that need to get done in October with personnel throughout the system and things like that. But yeah, it just changes. It doesn't stop.
I don't know if you know this, but Cody and I have been putting a list together, and we're going to call you the day after the final game, that Monday. We're already forming our spring training list and what we expect and the competition we like to see. So we just want to run it by you that Monday, saying we're kind of ready to go.
I was hoping you were going to call me that day and see where I wanted to play golf for the next week. That's what I was hoping for that Monday. But yeah, I mean, hey, if there's something to get excited about next spring, let's start on October 2nd.
I want to start today with your coaches.
Yeah.
Because if you and you're going to hear this later, Mark Kotze, we brought up the defense, and he goes, man, we've turned more double plays, and I keep score every game. So it's something you notice when you're writing 5-4-3, 6-4-3, 4-6-3. You start to realize, wow, a lot more double plays, a lot more balls on the ground. Pitching staff, just looking at purely ERA, your starting pitchers, your overall staff, everything has gotten better. And we always applaud, and we should. The players are the ones who play. But one of the reasons why they're getting better, it's your coaching staff. We really need to say these guys have worked their tails off this year, countless hours, countless time. They're wearing all the losses too, but boy, they have never wavered. Talk about your coaching staff, what they've done, and how they've helped the guys that are here get better.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I think it's interesting that you mentioned, you've got Bob on the show. Bob is here because a lot of these guys came up through the system while Bob was managing. Mark inherited a really good staff, plus added some guys to it. But I think the defining characteristic of this coaching staff and a lot of the staffs we've had in Oakland is the work ethic and the time that these guys put in behind the scenes. And you talk about Scott Emerson, and no one prepares more for a game than Scott. And Eric Martins, who's out there at 1 o'clock with the infielders, and Mike Aldretti, who does a little bit of everything. He works with the outfielders. He's in the cage. Darren Bush came through our system as a lifelong minor league manager and now has gotten here and has done the bullpen job and the bench job and the hitting job and the third base coaching job. And these guys who put in so much work. And like you said, you really can see the tangible results out on the field. I mean, look, we were not a good defensive team for a lot of this season. Yeah. There's no way to sugarcoat that. But you see the impact that Geloff has had since he came up to play second base. You see the progress that Jordan Diaz has had at third base. I mean, this is a guy who, in the minor leagues at times, we weren't sure there was a defensive position for him in the big leagues. And it starts with a guy like Juan Neveretti in the minor leagues. And then they follow through with it at AA and AAA and work him. And he gets here, and Eric Martins gets a hold of him, and he's out there playing third base every day in the big leagues, like something we weren't sure was possible. So, yeah, I know these guys, They don't look for the credit. They can see it on the field. I think they know, what the results are, but they absolutely deserve a lot of credit because they are putting in more work than anybody else.
We see that in all of sports where you have a guy who's got talent, but you don't know what he's going to do with the rest. I mean, we see that in football. We see it in basketball. It's like this guy can shoot, but he can't play D. Or this guy, hey, he can. Some guys are great run blockers, but they can't pass block, right? So you're trying to figure out how tough is that when you have a player and you go, I know he can hit.
Yeah.
Just where the heck are we going to play him? Like, how do those discussions work? Because there's a lot of positions, but obviously he doesn't have one, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, the complete players are so valuable in this game. The guys who can do it on both sides. I mean, obviously, the most extreme example is a Mookie Betts, a guy who is a gold glover at multiple positions and is a silver slugger. But you look for that complete player because if you have someone who can hit, but there's nowhere to put him in the field, it's hard to play that guy. Similarly, you could have a gold glove outfielder, but can't do it on the offensive end. It's hard to, on a 26 or even a 28-man roster, to hide that guy. So that's where coaching and player development is so huge, to really refine the game before guys get here and make sure they can do those things.
A guy like Mookie Betts, it's like enough's enough. All right, I get it. You're a perfect bowler. You're one of the best. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, right? He's one of the best players of his generation. Now, I'll play short. I'll play second. It's like enough.
Right. Yeah.
Enough.
And
we
again,
get it. We get it.
I think his name came to mind. He's been in the news the last 24 hours with the changes in Boston and all that. But yeah, I mean, that is, there's plenty of other guys in the game, obviously. The guy Acuna in Atlanta can kind of do it on both sides too. So,
well, I'll tell you what, our game is really interesting, and I've known you a long time now, and you are a Harvard guy. I think the only time we talk about that is when we're talking about your career as a great shortstop. But in our game, we have a lot of smart people. We have a lot of Ivy League, MIT, Stanford. We got a lot of smart people. And over the years, and Moneyball was a part of this, is where you take old school baseball people who are traditionally really good athletes, right? They played at the big league level. They were some of the greatest athletes of their time. And then you got these guys who are super smart, and their strength is how smart they are versus guys. So you have this collection of people to come together. And I've been around a lot of these people. You've never been that guy. You've never went around telling everybody you're a Harvard guy. But you see how in baseball, the mixture of classic, I'm successful, and my identity through life has been I'm a great athlete, versus my identity through my life is look how smart I am. It's a great achievement. I went to a school and I had great tests. It's interesting how baseball works. You've been in it for years. You've really seen the change.
Yeah, certainly. And it does have to be a mixture. I mean, there is, I think because of Moneyball to some extent, there's this sort of idea that it's scouts versus stats. And I don't think that's a realistic picture of how things work in a front office. I don't think there ever has been in our office or anywhere else this real sort of clash or this idea that you can do one or the other. And there are a lot of people out there whose backgrounds are blending both. I mean, you look at GMs, Chris Young, Princeton guy, pitched in the big leagues for 15 years.
Great basketball player.
Sammy Fold went to Stanford, also played outfield for 10 years in the big leagues. Like, there are these guys who've blended the two, and you do have to have a mix to be successful. So for those of us who didn't play in the big leagues or play at a high level, like, you got to meet everybody where they are and make sure it's a blend what you're doing.
You did get paid to play, though. Someone gave you a paycheck, and if you get paid, you're
I'm
called
sure
a
they
professional.
regret it to this day. So
have you ever seen those YouTube videos of when they talk about fueling the plane as the plane is still in the air?
Yeah.
How hectic and crazy that is.
Sure.
Like, you're like, there's nothing but disaster and turbulence. And like, that's what some organizations want to do. And I want to ask you, how tough is that to say, okay, I want you to win. I want you to have a great farm system.
Yeah.
I want you to keep money to where we want it there, to do it all at the same time. It's fly the plane and fill it at the same time. That's really hard to do. It
is. It's really hard. Even at the highest levels of payroll and salary and things like that. I mean, we've always had to balance it, and we've had these cycles of winning, followed by knowing we're going to have to step back and rebuild, just because of the transactional nature of our roster. But even at the highest payroll levels, the Dodgers are obviously the best at it, but outside of that, everybody else has to kind of try and do both at once, and it is a balancing act.
You mentioned Bob Melvin being back in the park. I know you guys had breakfast today.
We did.
You think about how long you've been with the A's. How long was he here? I mean, it's about a third or so of
About
your
half.
about
He
half.
was here for almost 12 years. This is my 24th year. Yeah.
So that's a long time to have a relationship with somebody. What was it like now having breakfast with Bob Melvin, the manager? Because you guys had good times, you clashed at times.
Did.
That's just how it works. What was it like now just having breakfast with Bob Melvin, the manager of a different team?
It's very different. Yes, we had our clashes, we had our differences, and that's natural when you're in those positions. But no, since Bob has left, we've stayed in touch. This was the first time, I think, other than just sort of passing in spring training, that we've actually had a chance to sit down and get together. It was nice to catch up.
Goose's party.
That's right. Goose's party came by in spring training. But yeah, we caught up for an hour this morning. He's, of course, staying over at the Claremont because I don't think he knows there are any other hotels in the Bay Area. So we had breakfast over there and got to hear about his year a little bit. I mean, they've had a challenging season and obviously a lot of expectations coming off where they were at the end of last season, plus, their payroll, things like that. And he's had to deal with a lot of that.
I think about where we are with today's baseball. You've got a lot of teams with a lot of question marks. We now have a lot of teams that have question marks beyond us with ballpark stuff. You've got a lot. Can you ever remember a time that you've been in baseball that you've had this many questions, like who's going to be here, who's running this? Are they in? Are they out? Where are they going to play? New stadium. Do you remember a time it being like this?
I mean, look, it feels very acute because of how much uncertainty there is around us right now. But you're right. We've seen a couple, head of baseball operations jobs change hands in the last few weeks. You've got the stadium issue in Tampa Bay, similar to what we dealt with. And the game has evolved to the point where, unfortunately, really only one team is allowed to consider their season a success, and everyone else has to figure out what went wrong. I mean, I talked to Bob a little bit about this morning. They went to, the last game of the NLCS last year, or maybe it was game 6. I don't remember.
Game 6, yeah.
But they had an incredible year. First time in maybe 30 years that San Diego had been at that point. And the narrative was like, what went wrong? They had a great year. So it is tough. And there's a lot of uncertainty. And when things don't go exactly perfectly right, and we know how much luck is involved in the postseason, when you don't get lucky, the question is, okay, what'd you do wrong?
When you watch certain guys play, beyond the stats, you go, does this guy got skill? And I see that with J.J. Bleday. I see skill. Now, we need him to see him hit more, but I like him defensively. I like the way he can run. I like the way he can throw. Obviously, he has power. He's talked to us about changes that he has made, and that's something that you've made changes with Langoliers. You're making changes with Ruiz right now. But to see J.J. Bleday take some hacks today, good. And what are your expectations kind of the rest of the year and then into the offseason?
I hope JJ gets back for a couple games here at the end of the season. I mean, we saw that play in Washington, thought he was done for the year. MRI came up okay, and he's slowly rehabbed. So it'd be nice to get him back out on the field. But what you're talking about is sort of the game of adjustments that everybody's going through. I mean, JJ made a real serious adjustment with where his hands were and how he attacked the baseball and got some immediate results, which was nice. But it'd be great to get him back out there, know that he's healthy going in the offseason. And again, we saw some real ability early when he got here, made an adjustment, started to hit the ball hard again. And it's exciting to think about what he could do with a full season.
Is it possible to have a regular plan for Mason Miller?
I don't think it is, unfortunately. No, I don't know what is ultimately going to be best for him down the road. Paramount is keeping him healthy. We had talked a lot over the last 2 years about starting versus relieving, like what is best for him. And there's a lot of different opinions inside and outside the organization. Do you give him the 4 days off between starts, or do you lower his workload? Like, which is better for him? Right now, if there's enough wood around here for me to knock
there's
on.
There's plenty of wood.
That's right. We're in the tree. We're in the treehouse. It's all
plenty of wood to knock on.
Let's knock on all of it and say that he is he's feeling good. This role he's in now, opening 2 to 3 innings, about 50 pitches at a time, has served him really well. It's gotten him back on a major league mound, which was our goal for the season. Give Brian Shulman, Jeff Collins, the medical staff a lot of credit for getting him back out there. Is this a role you can have over a 162 game season? I'm not sure. But if there's someone worth doing it for, it's Mason Miller.
It's ultimately your call, right? And you're dealing with, I'm sure, doctors and everybody on the medical side, non-baseball, Then you got the baseball side. How do you go about it? I mean, is it just in the end a gut call? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the science, but again, what you want to sort of prioritize is keeping him out there in any role. So, you got to have a talent like that on the field if you can. It doesn't matter if he's starting, relieving, opening, whatever it is. We'll keep sort of tinkering and toying with this until we find something that fits.
A little bit later here, you're going to see on the Mark Kotze show every once in a while, because, in your guys' position, you're always asked about somebody else. No one's ever asking about you. Good. It's sad.
No, that's great.
It's sad. How is David Forst? I asked Mark Kotze, I'm like, how are you doing?
Good. I'm glad you asked Mark.
Right?
You should ask Mark.
Because everybody's asking every day. He's got to talk about everybody else, but you know what? He's a human being.
Yeah.
He's got a lot. Like, how are you doing?
I'm good. We just won 34 games in the time it took to lose 50. Early in the season, we only won 12 in the time it took to lose 50. That's a huge improvement. So the trend line's going up. I feel good about how we played. We won 5 out of 7 last week for the first time since we won 7 straight. And there's a lot of positive trends on this club. So I'm doing well. Thanks.
And we've been highlighting your minor league managers because they mean a lot. You know, Fran, what he's done in Vegas.
Yeah, I saw you talk to Cross a few days ago.
Bobby Cross, he's fabulous.
Yeah,
he is going to be a manager in the big league.
You should see the managers write this game report every night, and Cros's personality just like jumps off the page at you. You can tell when he's fired up. You can tell when he's pissed. You can see Bobby there in the written word. So it's fun to have him.
But what's cool is that he's. It's not that long ago that he played, and you can tell that he was grilled the old school A's way. But he understands the new wave of the players. So he's kind of got, he reminds me of that like great teacher in high school who everybody loves, but he's tough on you.
Yeah.
That's what he reminds me of.
That's a good call. And he grew up in a house where his dad was a scout. So he's lived baseball his whole life. And you're right. He came up at a time when there was like, these old school veterans sort of schooling him on how it should be done, but he played long enough and now he's been coaching in this sort of new environment and he gets both. And that's critical. That's the kind of thing that'll help him, I think, get to a major league staff.
Let's end on this because you're going to be in a rumor mill every offseason, right? You have been. I remember for years.
Didn't we just say we weren't going to talk about me, Chris?
Ever for years, it was like Billy Bean's guy. You're going to take Billy Bean's guy. I mean, how many years have you been in the rumor mill?
Man, when Theo got the job in Boston in 2003, I was rumored as going as his assistant GM. So let's call it 20 years.
Wow. What is that like?
It depends on what else is going on. Sometimes it's flattering.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little annoying. I guess it's good to be relevant. So I'll take it.
I've been a part of rumors before, and it's dicey, right? I mean, in our industry, it's dicey when you're talking about different stations and all this kind of stuff. And I've been a part of that, and you don't like to. But I mean, I think people, what they need to understand is like, this is just home for all of us, right? No matter what the rumors are, they're like, people call up, and I can be honest, people have called me up and asked me about jobs and what I'd like to leave and get back into sports talk, and I just go, this is home. This is what we like to do. Right. And you're kind of in that. I mean, you've been doing this a long time, your entire adult professional life.
That's true. Yeah, I've been in the Bay a long time. My wife works here. My kids go to school here. Like all those things have always been factors and will continue to be.
Is your pickleball game better than your golf game?
Much better. My golf game's terrible. So
we got to get you out. We got sponsors. We got free golf.
I'm excited
for you and your staff.
We'll take
your staff. You tell me. I got you guys all set up.
But yeah, my golf game's terrible. Pickleball, I'll go up against anyone right now.
That guy right there.
All right, Cody.
Commander Cody.
Got a league starting on Wednesday.
Let's go. There's courts over at the Claremont. It's my home court. Let's see how we do.
Now, according to the movie Moneyball and Brad Pitt, we're not selling jeans, so we're not looking. But I think I'm taking David Forst over you, Cody. I'm just saying.
I'm a new pickleballer, so we're in a beginners league.
The excuses have already started.
Great stuff. Enjoy this homestand. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Donnie.
We got more coming up next right here on A's Cast Live. This is Chris Townsend and Commander Cody for Link Soul. You need to redo your wardrobe, especially for summer. They got new colors, new styles. Summer is here. The polos, unbelievable. The shorts, you name it, we got our new order.
My wife is the happiest one out of all of us because I look better, thanks to Link Soul.
And they've got unbelievable deals right now for the summer. So what are you waiting for? Shirts, polos, shorts, you name it. You go to linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com. A's fans, there is no better way to stay in touch with the A's and even our players than following us on social media. Just head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social for a full list of our social coverage, from player accounts to Twitter handles and more. Now is the time to stay in touch. Head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social today. This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop at Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Summertime is golf time in the Bay Area, and that means it's time to enjoy the beautiful vistas. 27 hole
Show right here on a
Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Cinnabar Hills gives you a variety on the course and in their amazing grill. They're ready to give you an incredible experience for any family, business, or social gathering. Nestled in the quiet hills of San Jose, summertime fun awaits you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Learn more at cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
Put on your favorite cowboy boots and get ready to see the best fireworks in the Bay Area on Saturday, July 22nd. Saddle up for a one-of-a-kind country experience during our third fireworks show of the season, presented by UBO.
As the pitch to Langolier, swung on a fly ball to left field, hit well. Going back far, show at the wall, looks up, and it is gone!
After the A's take on the Houston Astros, enjoy a mix of the best country hits as you watch the show from the field. Tickets start at just $10 and are available at athletics.com/tickets.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be ever since we got Xfinity. Now that kids can easily stream all their favorite stuff, they just have to worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Are these just cut up hot dogs and spray cheese?
The best way to stream your favorites is on the Xfinity 10G network. Now through September 21st, get Xfinity Gig Internet on the network made for streaming for $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile. Switch today. Requires pre-post bill and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
Innovation is at the core of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students preserve genetic information from California's endangered plants, or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and the entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Celebrate Latin and Hispanic Heritage Night at the ballpark. Join your A's on Saturday, September 16th as we celebrate the people, culture, and traditions through live music and games.
3-2 pitch, and Jordan hits a deep drive to left. Cabrera going back at the track, right to the wall. He will watch it fly. And Jordan Diaz has a 3-homer game.
And take your sock game to the next level with our giveaway featuring commemorative socks presented by Chevrolet. Grab your tickets now at athletics.com/tickets.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Barrier locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
The great Izzy walking by like she owns the joint. You know, I something I wanted to bring up today, and what I love about the show, I don't know how to get centered here, is I want to bring this up to you guys. And I was thinking about it with this whole Heim Bloom thing. And I've been watching it, reading a bunch of stuff, and one of the reasons why I brought up the Ivy League thing with David, and trust me, David does not walk around, I'm a Harvard graduate. He's never done that. But the reality is, if you have, and I have for many years, known people who went to schools, they're the highest level of education in our country. My dearest friend who I grew up with, she went to Stanford. People that, whether it's like a Caltech or an MIT or Northwestern, or you got all the Ivy Leagues, you'll understand from a lot of these people, when you're around these people, within X amount of time, you'll know that they went to an Ivy League school. It's just part of their identity. They're very proud that from an educational standpoint, that they were able to get in when a lot of people aren't able to get in and graduate, and it becomes a part of what I like to call their smarty-smartisans. People love to tell you how intelligent they are. That's that whole thing that you never want to be the smartest guy in the room. And a great old saying is, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you shouldn't be in that room because you're not learning. But that's who a lot of these people are. And then you take the baseball people. Well, the baseball people, they're superior athletes, right? These are people that all played professionally. People paid them because of their athletic skill. That's their identity. We all have ego. We all have identities. And so you have two different people and styles and egos and identities that are clashing together in our game. And it's been happening for years now. You have the group. Think about it. If you played professional baseball, if you got to the big league level, you played at the highest level. That means your entire life you've been this great athlete. Most of these guys, they played football, they played basketball, whatever they did, they were the best athlete. That's a part of your identity. I'm better than all of you else humans playing sports. I'm great. And then you stay in baseball, and then you're a coach, you're in the front office, you're whatever. Then you have this group over here that, I'm smarter than everybody else. I got into these schools and most people can't get into these schools. So everybody's got their ego and their identity, and you have to understand in our game that we're clashing these constantly. The super smart guys who weren't great athletes, as Eno Saris calls them, the nerds, with the guys who were great athletes, but they didn't get the kind of education these guys got. Or gals, they didn't get that. And so you're trying to mesh the two, and David was like Sam Fold, Stanford, former A's player. We had him on at the winter meetings. Chris Young, Princeton. So, yeah, there's some of that, but a lot of that's what we've been dealing with. Well, what does that mean for A's Cast and A's Cast Live? For the Mark Kotze Show categories. I did not graduate from I love the school that I graduated from, San Jose State, but that's kind of who I am. I'm a public school educated kid. Now, can I play with the kids that went to Stanford? I did, and I partied with them. But no, can I play in that world? Of course I can. Did I play in the big leagues? No, I didn't play in the big leagues. But I can hang with those guys for a little bit. I can hang in that world. What's great about A's Cast in this show is that what you have is you've got the street smart kids who are doing this show. We can play in the arena with the smarty-smartisans, and we can play in the arena with the great athletes. We're never going to live in their areas because we're not. We're not going to live in their worlds, but we can play in them, and we come back to here, the center, where a lot of us live. And that's what, when we talk about the topics that we talk about, the interviews that we do, we like to bring you all aspects of the game. And that's why I laugh of everything about the whole Fangraphs thing. We have so many people, the nerds live on Fangraphs, and they think everything that's on Fangraphs is exactly what it is. I mean, our guy Eno Saris today is still trying to argue that the only thing that matters on Twitter, he's arguing it on Twitter. He doesn't want to totally say it, but he says strikeouts. It's the only thing that a pitcher can control. Striking out people is the most important thing. Everything else doesn't matter because it's a team game. And how can I look at just one guy when the team things are ERA is a team stat. ERA is now a team stat according to these guys. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I just wanted you to know what's great about A's Cast is that we're living in this baseball bubble, but we're not like the different groups. We can go from each group to another, but we're always going to be the street smart kids. And that's how we're going to view baseball and give it to you. I'm not going to sit here and hammer analytics all day long, even though they're important. We're not going to sit here and just back up the old, he's a baseball guy. How many times are we making fun of those old cliches? Check the back of the baseball card. That's just stupid. We don't do that. We like to mix both and give you coverage of both, and we will criticize both. But you have my word how we've set this show up of we're going to be the guys in the middle. That's what we will always be. And that's what I think about Chaim Bloom. I'm going to give you something that nobody's thinking about. I heard all the stuff this morning on MLB Network. There's all the stuff on WEEI out of Boston. That's all coming up. I'm going to give you a point, kind of how I see the world that's a little bit different, where we're not talking about analytics. We're not talking about coming down from the luxury tax. We're not talking about having to trade Mookie Betts. And, oh, God, well, Mookie Betts trade sucked, but yeah, but you got rid of all David Price's money. He inherited Chris Sales. There's all this stuff going on, right? And the baseball nerds, the Fangraphs guys are all like, Chaim did exactly what you wanted him to do. He got you under the luxury tax. He got rid of contracts. Well, he got the payroll down. He did exactly like, what do you want him to do? Oh, my God. Look, on Fangraphs, they rate the Boston Red Sox farm system he was last. Now he's third because it's Fangraphs. Now, if you go on MLB.com, the Red Sox are rated they did the mid-season reboot for everybody's farm system after trades and everything. Red Sox are 16th. So we know from having the guys on who do these lists, they say, hey, listen, top 5, bottom 5, we know. Everybody else in the middle. So there's a lot of ways to look at this. But there's one thing I haven't heard one person say yet. And this has nothing to do with luxury tax. This has nothing to do with trades. This has nothing to do with any of that. You need to understand that in August, Major League Baseball teams send out to their season ticket holders, time to renew. Time to renew. See, the Fangraphs guys don't think about business. They think about baseball business as in salaries, and they think about the CBT, the luxury tax. They think about that, but they don't think about actual real-life business. So in August, the Boston Red Sox would have sent all of, and I believe last time I checked, their second or third highest tickets in baseball for years, they were the highest. So they sent out all their packages out to their season ticket holders in August. Well, why would you fire Chaim now in mid-September? Well, I can tell you from a business standpoint, I guarantee you that when all of a sudden people were not renewing their season tickets, they have data on everything. We have data on everything when you're a season ticket holder. And they send out questions about the franchise. They have representatives that will call. I guarantee you when they sent out their season tickets, hey, renew, time to renew, give me your money now. We want your money now before next year. Teams want to get your money now. We've already done it. All the teams do it. How many times do you think they've gotten pushback? How many times do you think the people of New England who are paying big dollars to go to Fenway Park go, you know what? I don't like the direction of the team. You brought in this guy, Smarty Smarterson, Ivy League guy. I don't know. Where did Chaim go?
I think it was Yale.
Was it Yale? Yeah. So he's an Ivy League guy. He was with the Rays. He's super smart. He's doing all this. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, Yale.
You want me to write that fat check for season tickets, and what you're basing everything on is, hey, Fangraphs rates our minor league system high. Does that make you want to take out the old checkbook? Does that make you want to forward them some big money for next year? Does that make you want to hop on board and go, I guarantee you there was a lot of people who called their representative or their representative called in or there was a questionnaire that they filled out that they said, I'm not digging this. I'm not liking it. I don't know if I'm going to renew. Why wouldn't they fire him at the end of the season? Why would they fire him now? Should be pretty simple. But you know what? Baseball people, baseball media people, they're not business people. I try and tell you that all the time. That's why God love them. But when they're talking about how this thing's going with the ballpark in Oakland, and baseball people aren't politicians. They're not money people. They don't know. They don't own businesses. You can't trust them. They're media people. But it's that no one's bringing this up. Why do you think they fired him? Because I guarantee you, they said, the fan base, I'm tired of this and I'm not liking it. So you know what they realized? He's got to go. 1 year left on the deal. You could have easily given him one more year. Does anybody care if an executive is a lame duck? We don't. David Force was just here. I don't even know how many years David has on his contract. I couldn't even tell you, nor do I care. We don't care. We care what the CBO or the VP of this or the executive VP or this or that. No. He could have had 1 year, 2 year. There's a reason they canned him right now. And I guarantee it, the fan base and also the sponsors. Who with the big sign? Is it Cisco? Who's the big, what's the big sign up top the Fenway Park now?
Oh, isn't it the gas station?
Cisco?
Citgo, I think.
Citgo. I don't know. Dunkin' Donuts. Everything that you see, everything runs on Dunkin'. Everything back in Boston is Dunkin'. Trust me. Is their deal up? I mean, is Dunkin' happy? Are the sponsors happy? You guys don't think about this stuff, but that's the most important. Not whether the farm system is rated third on Fangraphs. That's what you're going to survive on? The hocus pocus? Look into my eyes. We're all going to talk about the future. Man, at some point, this is a business. They're about making money. They were doing okay, right? Boston was doing okay. We still got a chance at the wild card. Then they go in and lay an egg in New York. And New York's quit. The Yankees have absolutely quit. And they're bringing up the kids. And even the Martian got hurt, but they're bringing up the kid. And they swept a doubleheader against Boston. And then all of a sudden, what happens? They fire him. So follow the money, folks. Always follow the money. It's business. And I also liken it to this because this is something we can all relate to, and I'm in the restaurant business. Be very wary of when you want to go hire. If you want to go hire a chef who is at a traditional restaurant, it's a turn and burn place, and he's fantastic at managing the kitchen. He's fantastic at food cost because got to realize someone brings the food to these restaurants and you're negotiating with purveyors all the time. So this guy's great at managing the kitchen. He's managing the staff. Some guys even manage the front. It's a turn and burn place, good food. Menu's not expensive. Turn and burn. Food costs are good. And then the fancy restaurant comes in and goes, you know what? I want that, but I want you to do that at my fancy restaurant. And people don't realize, whoa, that's a whole different ballgame. Because when I go to the fancy restaurant, my menu's completely different. The expectations of the customers are completely different. This is a dining experience versus a turn and burn situation. So the fancy restaurant goes, wow, I want you to keep my food costs down. I want you to keep everything down. But the problem is I need you to design a killer menu. And now we're trying to sell pairings of wine with menu and things are expensive. We're not turning and burning people. We're about a dining experience. And if your customers paying that kind of money don't have the experience they like, you're going to hear about it. And then all of a sudden that scares the heck out of you that all of a sudden they may not come back. 2 times. It could be 2 times people have a bad meal, spend a lot of money, they won't come back. Even though they say, that's my favorite restaurant. So you're asking, this is the problem when you ask somebody who's from the Turn and Burn restaurant to come be the head guy and the head chef of a fancy restaurant where the expectations are different. Yeah, it sounds good that you want to keep the food costs and you want to keep your employees' costs and your basically your profit and loss. You want to keep everything down, but you have high expectations. And at some point, even for ownership, somebody's got to be the scapegoat. Gave you 4 years, not happy where it's at. Time to go. Time to find somebody else. I mean, it's just a reality of life. And if you think that everything is going to be built on what the fan graphs think and the baseball nerds think, you're crazy, because they don't take anything that I said into effect. They're just going to tell you about the farm system's better. And that's why I asked David, we're really in a tough spot, because I can go around and tell you how many different teams right now are in some type of transition, whether it's with their roster, with their farm systems, whether they're trying to win, where are they going to play? I mean, we did this the other day. Over a third of baseball right now, over a third is saying there's an issue with our ballpark. Over a third. Forget all the teams that have issues with their rosters and what they're going to do going forward. You have over a third of the teams are saying, okay, what's happening and where are we going to play and how are we going to play and all that stuff long term. We are at a crazy time in baseball. And just to sum this up, if you want to know how bad things can get, Cody, what did you tell me earlier today about the tickets? Was this at Fenway Park?
Yeah, Pete Abraham, who covers the Red Sox, I forget which publication in Boston. He was on Loud Outs with Spielborgs and CJ Nikowski. And
Spilly and CJ are buddies.
He mentioned how tickets for a game in Boston the other day against the Yankees on the secondary market, and these were like box seats, not bleachers, were going for $5.
What?
And don't the Red Sox have the most expensive tickets in sports?
I think they're third.
Or baseball?
Now.
Okay.
I checked. It's hard to judge, right? But they're top 5. I want you guys to think about it. For all the people that live on Fangraphs and all the people are saying about, oh, Heim did his job and he got the payroll down. Heim, he's got Fangraphs says they're third best farm system, even though MLB.com. What's our guy, Jim Callis? He had him at 16. But even with their payroll down, you can like the Houston Astros still have a smaller payroll than the Red Sox. Astros keep going to the playoffs, keep going to the World Series, and keep winning. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it. But think about that. Cody just said tickets at Fenway Park, which is one of the smallest stadiums, one of the most desired stadiums in all of sport, just not baseball. People want to just go to Fenway. I've gone to Fenway as a fan multiple times. You just want to go to Fenway. Doesn't matter who the Red Sox are playing. This is a historic place. How much for tickets?
$5.
And you wonder why they fired him? You think when you're like in the end going, man, $5. Anybody just want to come in? If the Boston Red Sox are at a point to where they're putting tickets out there for $5, don't be shocked that the CBO gets canned. And him walking around going, oh, I got rid of Mookie for you. I mean, there's reports he had a chance to get rid of Chris Sale and didn't get rid of the money.
I read that today. It's very interesting.
And then you're hearing these reports, even worse. I've given you the money aspect. Even worse, they're like, this guy's awful to deal with. He's like the ultimate nickel and dime guy. That works in Tampa. That doesn't work in Boston. They're saying out of Boston, multiple people have said it's a situation to where when he calls people and all of a sudden I'm an agent or someone else in the front office and I see it's his cell phone, I go, ugh. They don't want to deal with him. People in his own industry don't want to deal with him. They don't want to get involved in a deal because it's going to be so nickel and dime. Eflin with a chance to go to Tampa or Boston. They went, we offered the same amount of money as Tampa. Bro, he lives in Orlando. He lives already in Florida. What are you doing? You got to spend a little bit more. I mean, unbelievable. Delaire Lewars, the great Delaire. Come here. At least so people can, so they can see you. You got to get in front of the camera. That's how it works. I know you're in TV. There you go. That's our boss.
See that now? You got the guy who puts the win. When Ray Fosse talked about the win.
I don't think you can say my name. I bet you $5 right now. You can't say my name. Delaire Lewars. Is I right? How's that wrong? I've called you that for how many years? All right, we got more coming up next right here. We're going to have Bob Melvin. We're going to have Mark Kotze all coming up here on A's Cast Live. This is Chris Townsend and Commander Cody for Link Soul. You need to redo your wardrobe, especially for summer. They got new colors, new styles. Summer is here. The polos, unbelievable. The shorts, you name it, we got our new order.
My wife is the happiest one out of all of us because I look better, thanks to Link Soul.
And they've got unbelievable deals right now for the summer. So what are you waiting for? Shirts, polos, shorts, you name it. You go to linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com.
Innovation is at the core of Cal State East Bay, like at our Green Biome Institute, where faculty and students preserve genetic information from California's endangered plants, or how we open doors for local entrepreneurs at our Small Business Development Center. From educators to nurses to STEM professionals, Cal State East Bay has real impact throughout the region's neighborhoods, boardrooms, and the entire economy. Be part of the innovation. Connect with Cal State East Bay at csueastbay.edu/impact.
Hey, it's Eno Saris, your friendly neighborhood baseball scribe. There are two things I love, baseball and beer. When I'm not busy around the ballpark, you'll likely catch me back with a cold one at any of Fieldwork Brewing's 8 locations sprinkled across the Bay Area. Fieldwork's got a rotating lineup of over 20 beers on tap that's as diverse as any 26-man roster. They got everything from super juicy hazy IPAs to crisp pilsners and tropical sours that make your taste buds do the wave. Whether you're all about that draft life or prefer to grab some cans to go, Fieldwork's got your bases covered. Check them out at fieldworkbrewing.com to learn more. That's fieldworkbrewing.com.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be ever since we got Xfinity. Now that kids can easily stream all their favorite stuff, they just have to worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Are these just cut up hot dogs and spray cheese?
The best way to stream your favorites is on the Xfinity 10G network. Now through September 21st, get Xfinity Gig Internet on the network made for streaming for $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile. Switch today. Requires pre-post bill and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
Unbeatable mileage from Chevron with Techron unlocks all kinds of unbeatable trips. Like to family dinner the next town over. Or to a family wedding the next town over. Or even to a family reunion over the river and through the woods at Grandma's house. Any drive is worth it to see Grandma, especially when you can stop along the way for unbeatable cleaning power from Chevron with Techron. Your engine will be thanking you for making the trip. Download the Chevron app now and find unbeatable mileage near you.
This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Hey, Billy, this deck is great for getting everyone together.
Thanks. We're really enjoying the outdoor space, especially on a day like today.
What's the material?
Humboldt Redwood from Ashby Lumber. They gave us a great deal, provided us with a quick quote, and we couldn't be happier. We even found a great contractor through their online contractor directory.
Don't miss a day outdoors. Visit Ashby Lumber in Berkeley or Concord to see our stock of naturally strong, naturally beautiful Humboldt Redwood. Find out more at ashbylumber.com for all your building needs. Ashby Lumber.
Summertime is golf time in the Bay Area, and that means it's time to enjoy the beautiful vistas, 27 holes of championship golf, and all the amenities that Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Cinnabar Hills gives you a variety on the course and in their amazing grill. They're ready to give you an incredible experience for any family, business, or social gathering. Nestled in the quiet hills of San Jose, summertime fun awaits you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Learn more at cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com, nestbetting.com. That's nestbetting.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Betting, love where you sleep.
Calling all kids. It's Kids Cheer Free all summer long. Bring your kids ages 14 and under to the ballpark on Sunday home games for free. After cheering on your green and gold, race around the bases with Stomper on the same field that your favorite A's players do. Get your tickets now at athletics.com/kidsfree. That's athletics.com/kidsfree.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'scast. That's athletics.com/A'scast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'scast today.
A's fans, there is no better way to stay in touch with the A's and even our players than following us on social media. Just head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social for a full list of our social coverage, from player accounts to Twitter handles and more. Now is the time to stay in touch. Head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social today.
If you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see our friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Summertime is golf time in the Bay Area, and that means it's time to enjoy the beautiful vistas, 27 holes of championship golf, and all the amenities that Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Cinnabar Hills gives you a variety on the course and in their amazing grill. They're ready to give you an incredible experience for any family, business, or social gathering. Nestled in the quiet hills of San Jose, summertime fun awaits you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Learn more at cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
And the underdogs, Oakland Athletics, win their first championship since they were in Philadelphia in 1930.
Hi, I'm Raleigh Fingers, Hall of Famer, three-time World Series champion with the Oakland A's and World Series MVP. Winning takes teamwork, skill, and heart. So when you need an ace for a personal injury lawyer that will win you the game, go with the winning team. Call Venardi Zerata at 833-VZ-for-me or go to vzlawfirm.com. Venardi Serrata, the official injury law firm of the Oakland A's.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
You know, today at the ballpark, it's Roberto Clemente Day. We're doing fireworks tonight too, right?
Correct, yes.
And then tomorrow is Hispanic Heritage Day.
It's they're I think socks tomorrow. So we can add more socks to our collection.
Obviously we already give away the Roberto Clemente Award. We know about his career, how he lost his life. These yesteryear players, I think a lot of people just forget just how good they were. And Roberto Clemente is somebody that I'm basically just going to tell you stats because I like everybody else, I think he died in 71 or 72.
I think it was 72. Remember, his last game, he got his 3,000th hit.
Well, the point is that I was born in 72.
Yeah, so
I never saw him play.
Yeah.
But you just know seeing the highlights and everything. But it's also important to remember just how good this guy was. A two-time World Series champion, batting champion. They were showing some stuff today about career average because average does matter. And, somebody that had one of the greatest arms in the history of the game, throwing from right field. You've got a lot of guys, right? When you think of someone like Clemente, a guy that played in Pittsburgh, Dave Parker, Strawberry, Jesse Barfield had a hose.
Vladimir
Guerrero had a hose. I mean, you got guys there's just Dave Winfield had a big, guys that just had these rockets of an arm. Clemente was like the standard of that. So he's a man that his name just speaks of generosity, humanity, giving of himself. And we've been lucky to really get to know Dave Stewart the last couple of years. And Dave Stewart, A's Hall of Famer, who's had an unbelievable career. He's been honored. I predicted it. He couldn't tell you exactly how many Hall of Fames he was in. He was like, I think 5. Told you. But, just went into the California Sports Hall of Fame. World Series MVP, World Series champion, all this stuff in his illustrious career. The Roberto Clemente Award is still tops for Dave Stewart. And was it last year they got them all together? A lot of the guys who are still living who have won the award, they had them all at Citi Field in New York. And it was really cool to see all the legendary players who have received the Roberto Clemente Award. In football, we got the Walter Payton Award. It means a lot to these guys because you are signaled out for your hard work, and you don't do it to win the award. As Tony Kemp's up for, 3rd or 4th straight year?
I think it's 4th straight year.
I mean, you don't do it for that, but it tells you something about yourself. And when you win that award, or you're even nominated for that award, there's so many people behind the scenes that are helping you with your foundation. Your family's helping with. There's so many people. It's a reward for you, and it's a reward really for everybody who's a part of it. And I think it's great that we celebrate a day like this because Roberto Clemente, truly one of the greats who have ever played the game, not only on the field, but off the field. We focus so much on the field. It's great that we focus on what some guys do off the field.
And it's, I believe in Pittsburgh, they're wearing everyone's wearing number 21 for Clemente, and it's Roberto Clemente Day in Pittsburgh. They just announced that's going to be every year now going forward. So it's great to see them do that. And, we can't really see the pin, so I have to walk closer, but we were given the Roberto Clemente pin. So that was cool. So I'm glad to see we honor one of the greatest players of all time and, tragically for passing away. But, man, getting your 3,000th hit in your last game is pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, we didn't know.
Ending on 2,999 would have been miserable.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't foresee what happened. Well, we weren't even around, but they didn't foresee what happened to him, happening to him. But to see that he got his 3,000 hit in his last game before he tragically passed away it's a pretty cool moment for one of the greatest outfielders and players of all time.
No doubt. What did you think about what I had to say about we're in the middle because you're not an Ivy League guy.
They did call my school Harvard on the Mon.
You're not an Ivy League guy.
By the way, I wanted to tell you this, but you're in the middle of it. You know what Heim's degree is in? We went over this before, but
I don't remember.
Latin classics. How are you running a baseball team with a Latin classics degree?
Well, also, another thing that the nerds on Fangraphs aren't going to tell you is life is about relationships, not about numbers. And there's a reason why we're going to honor, wink, wink, Bob Melvin tonight. He really doesn't even know it.
No, David Force told me off air that Bob knows now.
He
didn't know when we talked to him.
Well, I told him.
Well, I mean, until you told him, he had no idea.
Yeah, I told Bob. I let the cat out of the bag. I just said they're going to do something.
Well, I don't want to out you to David, so I said, yeah, no, he doesn't know.
So, relationships, you want to be in this for a long time? Got to have relationships. Got to be able to build relationships. And when all these people are saying, oh, yeah, dirty little secret is nobody wanted to deal with Heim. Other executives, agents, nobody wanted to deal with him. And it's funny, you could see how that mentality works in Tampa, where we're going to pinch, we're going to squeeze. I guess you would expect that. But all of a sudden now you're running the Boston Red Sox, and, Eflin's out there, and he's willing to come to Boston, but obviously no state taxes versus Massachusetts is a 5%. I already live in Orlando. Family's there. You're going to have to pay me a little more money. But, nope, we're sticking to the plan. I mean, I can just see day to day. Put it also this way. If baseball executives, if agents, if all these guys viewed this as so-and-so's a pain in the you-know-what, what do you think he was like in the building?
Yeah, probably not perceived well, especially by his peers. people around him. It's the first time we ever heard anything about him like this because no one ever really. I mean, they just highlighted how great he was in Tampa because of what he did in Tampa with everything, and then he goes to Boston, a major market, and our colleague Ray Jensen mentioned he goes, how many guys from the race system have done anything since they left Tampa? Now Andrew Friedman did a nice job. He's doing a nice job with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I mentioned James Click, but he got fired after winning a World Series. So there's something there with Jim Crane and the Astros. And then Heim, obviously, they haven't gone anywhere. I went to the ALCS last year, but it's been a disastrous last couple of years for Boston. And the Chris Sale thing that came out today is just unbelievable.
Could have got rid of Chris Sale's hurt, millions owed, could have got rid of him and didn't do it. Now, Andrew Friedman he's like the outlier. He is the guy that went, as I talked about, the analogy of taking a chef from a turn and burn and trying to go into a fancy restaurant. Andrew Friedman's been the one guy. Now, everybody tries to knock him. Now they haven't won the World Series other than the COVID World Series. Still a big deal. But they have now become the model, but not everybody's going to have what the Los Angeles Dodgers have. Now, you can still screw that up. I mean, under Frank McCourt, they screwed it up. There's no question. But you do have some advantages if you do it the right way, the way the LA Dodgers have done it. What happened?
I'm texting them to see when Trevor May's coming up because if he's not going to be here for another 15 minutes or something, we can play Bob Melvin before that. So I'm waiting to see what they say.
Because you just jumped up like something happened and freaked
No,
me out.
I wanted to get ahead of it because I know we promoted that Bob will be on at 5, and I know a lot of people are waiting to hear from Bob. So I'm waiting to see when we may have ace closer Trevor May. I think we can finally call him closer now, right? I mean, he's been doing a really great job.
Well, do you really have a closer when you're 46 and 100?
I couldn't tell you the Royals closer is, so probably I would say no.
Do you really have a closer at 46? The good thing for Trevor May is how good he has been, how good the bullpen's been, how good the staff has been. And that's one of the things I'd like to talk to him about is like all the work that they've done with the younger players, that they've gotten better. Like Trevor May is a veteran. How proud is he of JP Sears?
Yeah, for sure. By the way, they said that they're on their way up here now. So we'll have to wait to play Bob.
But think about that. The starting staff, I don't have it in front of me now, but the starting staff, like the last 12, 13 games, had an ERA around 3.5. Folks, it was at 7. I mean, they were you had really bad things going on. And the fact that you're looking at the A's, the way they have gotten better. Bob Melvin, I don't know, did he say it during the interview? Did he say it to me out there? He goes, hey, these guys are – it's the scouting reports are showing the A's are not an easy out right now.
Yeah, I have it. The starters in the month of September are 4-2 with a 3.57 ERA. It's the second best in the American League behind only Detroit somehow. Yeah. Detroit's playing really well. They're 7-5 overall. The pitching rotation, the starting, or not even staff, just the entire staff with a 3.82 ERA in 12 games. That's third best in the American League over that span. There's been a vast improvement from all facets, from starters and relievers, so it's a nice thing to see.
I don't think we're going to have time for me to go on my Juan Soto thing.
You know, it's sad because he's here this weekend. Maybe we can use it for one of the hits in the game. This weekend, you could use it. Ask Johnny what he thinks about Juan Soto.
I can just tell you, Juan Soto, and I'm not trying to hammer the once again, Eno Saris calls them the nerds. I'm not trying to, but here is somebody that they have propped up as like an all-time great. And there's multiple things since we've gotten to the ballpark today that people are like, probably one of the biggest things San Diego can do this offseason is dump Soto. That's like one of probably the biggest thing that if they can, because they've got some guys like in Double-A that they think are going to help because they have no depth, right? They're such a top-heavy roster. They have no depth. Look for maybe A.J. Preller if he still has the job. 4,000 something. I sent it to Cody last night. A.J. Preller has been in charge of the Padres for 4,000 something days. That's years.
Yeah.
365 days in a year. Am I still correct on that?
Yeah.
And you've been in charge for 4,000 something days. No division titles. No World Series appearance. Like, how does a guy keep a job that long? I don't know. I don't know if he'll be in charge. But if he is in charge, hey, I give him credit for going for it. I always give credit. You go for it, man. You believe you got a chance, go for it. But now what may be the right call is you're not going to pay Soto long term, because we now people get to see him play every day. All do the same thing you do with a guy that walks a lot. Swing more. You're going to give me – I need more for you. And you know he's not good defensively. He doesn't run well. He doesn't throw well. It's like all of a sudden it's like, yeah, he had those monster young years in Washington, and he's having a good year this year. But he really is a one-dimensional player.
Yeah, and we looked it up, where he's ranked in the league because he always walks a lot. And the runs scored, I have it right here. His runs scored, Soto, runs scored. Sorry, I have so much on Heim Bloom in here. In 2019, he scored 110 runs. He was tied for 12th in baseball in runs scored. You think you have that many walks, you'd be in the leaderboard.
Ricky Henderson. Have you guys heard of him?
A good little player.
When Ricky Henderson walked, fire alarms were going off with the other team. The other team's pitcher, catcher, first base, dugout, everybody knew, oh no, Ricky Henderson's on first. It's a fire drill. There's problems. Because Ricky Henderson's going to steal second. Now he's in scoring position. He can steal third. Ricky Henderson on the bases was, oh my God. Now I'm using an extreme here because he's the greatest of all time. But as the video that has popped up on Twitter, a lot of Greg Maddux stuff is coming up, or I should say coming out. Greg Maddux was asked about facing Barry Bonds because, my God, they played against each other their entire careers. Maddux was in the National League. Bonds was in the National League. For years, Bonds was in Pittsburgh. Atlanta, he was in Chicago and Atlanta. And then, of course, Bonds is in San Francisco. Maddux comes out, plays for the Padres and the Dodgers.
I love that part of his career.
Right? So they played a lot. So what did Greg Maddux say about facing Bonds when it mattered? Just walk him. Just walk him. Beat everybody else. We'll get into that. Trevor May is now joining us here in the Treehouse. We'll get into that a little bit later. And, of course, we have the comments about Juan Soto and the future. But it's great to have Trevor May on the program. It has been a while. How are you?
Good. Are you?
Well, I was talking about on your way up here, we knew you were coming up. And, of course, we'll talk about you. But I know you like to talk about your teammates. Just talk about what we have seen as Scott Emerson and the pitching staff as a whole, the numbers, the hard work, and how the staff has gotten better. And I know as a veteran guy, you're proud of a lot of these young guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a lot of fun to watch guys come into their own a little bit. And even the veteran guys like Paul Blackburn kind of doing what he always does and kind of upping his game too as he's going. So, but like the Ken Waldichucks, JP Sears taken, JP's kind of, I think, a guy who maybe took even a bigger step forward than maybe a lot of people would have anticipated too. So opening some eyes. Mason Miller's electric. He doesn't got to do much to be successful, I don't think. He's pretty dang good. And, I'm really enjoying all the conversations having with the guys and picking their brains and letting them pick my brains and just seeing how far everyone's kind of come over the last 5 months. It's pretty awesome because that's what you got to do when things are going the way that they've gone this year. You got to make sure that that you're as good as much better as more better as you can be from the beginning to the end because that is what the season's for.
We've liked JP ever since he came over from the Yankees. Just didn't know where would he exactly fit in because. We saw him pitch against the A's when he was with the Yankees. Just talk about as a young player, a young starter, what that means to take the ball the entire year and get to that mark 30 starts.
It's a big deal. I never did it. But especially in your sophomore season, kind of going and staying healthy all year, making sure that you're getting every opportunity to establish yourself that you can is honestly probably the biggest goal that a guy should have, I think, at that point in their career, just taking the ball every time they need them to take it. And he's done that, I think, and then he's gone above and beyond. And building consistency with the amount of experience he's had, it's impressive to do it this quickly. And everyone sees it, and the powers that be, when they see a guy who take the ball and what you're going to get, where he's going to be mentally, and he's not going to implode, he's going to battle every single time out, you're going to get opportunities and a longer leash, and he's definitely done that for himself for sure.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about your season, what's happened in the season, and I think it's so big because there's a lot of people struggling out there, and when they can draw strength from you, I think it's incredible. When they can draw strength from somebody that they watch and they know that if you can do it, they can do it. I wanted to ask you, we've been waiting to have you on again. What do you think you've learned the most about yourself this season?
I think I have a better idea of when I'm feeling something, what it means, if that makes sense. It's been, I've realized that like the ups and downs of a baseball season, you hear that all the time, and the context for that is just different for everybody. And for me, I was just living and dying with performance. I was living and I felt like the world was ending when things were going well, and I felt like I'd staved off the world ending when things were going good. So
that's not good.
Yeah, there was a while there where it was like, great job. Now just got to do it again tomorrow. And it was just that every time. I was never enjoying it. And that needed to be addressed. It's just, you got to enjoy what you're doing, especially when it's something you've done for 30 years. It doesn't feel good to have that associated with like going to the field. And something just clicked one day where I told myself, just all you can do is, the only thing that's supposed to happen is what happened. And wherever you are right now is where you're supposed to be right now. And I look in the mirror before I go out and pitch, and I do this every single day at some point when I go to the bathroom, because as the game gets going, we tend to be like, oh, I got to go to bed all the time because we're nervous. And I just look in the mirror and say, just do your best today, man. Like,
well, you look like you've brought joy back into your life.
And I'm enjoying it. I used to get these anxious feelings, or you get these feelings where you like of thinking of failure and you want to like get rid of them. And I flipped it and just like, I like this feeling because that means I care, or that it means something to me. And then it's also an opportunity to overcome it. And once that started happening, because that's kind of what athletes think, right? We always want to rise to the occasion. If you are constantly having your own little battles where you're rising to the occasion over and over again, it turns from failure to success really quickly. And suddenly nothing's too hard, nothing's too scary, because now scary things are what you're looking for. And that was just a really interesting flip that switched. And I think that it applies to everything.
Well, that's what I want to add. I don't have a ton of time with you, but human beings have a hard time expressing themselves, whether you're a Major League Baseball player or whatever you do for a living. And so we have a hard time reaching out and telling people we're hurting. How many people have now come to you that maybe you didn't expect, that they now feel like I can use you as a resource? What has that been like, where people know you've been through it? You're going through it. You're always going to go through it. So what has that been like? I'm sure there's a lot of people that have come to you and said, thank you, or I need help, or just tell us how that has gone for you.
There's been a few. There's been a handful of guys, peers and guys, around the game. And then there's been people in my personal life that have just basically said, hey, I just want you to know that like it means a lot that you just said something and said it so publicly, because that's the kind of the scariest part, is just people knowing. Like a lot of people don't address it because they don't want anyone to know. And so they just don't address it. And that, I think, was maybe the biggest catalyst. One big one was Daniel Bard. I saw him in Colorado, and he walked up to me. He's like, hey, man, I just want you to know that, like, he's just said, thank you for, thank you. There's another, like, I feel like I have an ally. I don't feel like I'm on an island anymore, too, which is a big part of the problem. And he was just like, keep it up. And I made a joke about, I'm like, because he's having success, but he was walking guys at the beginning of the year, and so we both had really high walk totals. I'm like, hey, we're doing it, and we're still letting guys on base, and we're getting out of it. So he's like, I'm like, we're both doing it. It's great to see that too. And he's like, yeah, man, we're similar in a lot of ways.
Isn't it amazing the joy that comes back into your life, and then how well you're playing? Because your second half, or really ever since you've come back, you've been brilliant.
Thank you, appreciate it. That's
got to be something really. I don't know. It's just, you got to feel like coming to the yard, like, you feel good right now. Like, give me the ball, let me go in every type of scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. And the mindset stuff kind of feeds into that too. It's like, when things are going well, I'm giving myself more permission to actually enjoy it also, and I'm not just worried about when the other shoe is going to fall. And because it's like, that's not a real thing unless you make it a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's much easier to like run out to the mound, look up and see your little walkout song or your video, right? And every stadium I'm in, I'm looking around and watching even on away games. I'm like really looking around and seeing how bad do these fans want me to fail, or how bad do these fans want me to get the job done, and then I adjust according to that. And I just like want to be in it. I want to like really feel all that pressure, all that whatever that is, whatever that noise is. I want to feel it because once you're done, I've heard this from every person that's ever retired. And they're like, you just remember. There's moments day to day where you're like, man,
yeah,
I wish they were cheering for me again.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by. I know they want to end this, but stay hot.
I will.
You're hot right now. Stay hot, finish strong, and keep educating these kids. They need all the help.
I will.
We got more. Bob Melvin's going to join us next right here on A's Cast Live.
Hey, it's Eno Saris, your friendly neighborhood baseball scribe. There are two things I love, baseball and beer. When I'm not busy around the ballpark, you'll likely catch me back with a cold one at any of Fieldwork Brewing's 8 locations sprinkled across the Bay Area. Fieldwork's got a rotating lineup of over 20 beers on tap that's as diverse as any 26-man roster. They got everything from super juicy hazy IPAs to crisp pilsners and tropical sours that make your taste buds do the wave. Whether you're all about that draft life or prefer to grab some cans to go, Fieldwork's got your bases covered. Check them out at fieldworkbrewing.com to learn more. That's fieldworkbrewing.com.
This is Chris Townsend and Commander Cody for Link Soul. You got to go to their website right now, linksoul.com. The new polos are unbelievable. New colors, lighter weight. We got our new summer shipment, Cody.
I couldn't be happier. I look better, all thanks to Link Soul.
So we're talking about new polos. You can check out their shorts, anything you need for summer. They have it right now. When you go to their website, they've got a smoking summer deal. Go to linksoul.com. That's linksoul.com.
Chevron with Techron has unbeatable engine cleaning power, and it gives you unbeatable mileage for all kinds of unbeatable destinations, like time in the sun at the beach, or time in the sun riding roller coasters, or a day in the sun hiking mountains. Well, probably just one mountain would be enough for a day, but hiking a mountain is still an unbeatable choice for how to spend time. Download the Chevron app now to get unbeatable mileage at locations near you.
Watch parties aren't what they used to be ever since we got Xfinity. Now that kids can easily stream all their favorite stuff, they just have to worry about what's on the charcuterie board.
Are these just cut up hot dogs and spray cheese?
The best way to stream your favorites is on the Xfinity 10G network. Now through September 21st, get Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile. Plus, add Now TV for $20 a month. Switch today. Requires paperless bill and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile and Now TV require Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rate supply. Actual speeds vary.
If you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see our friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try the world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
A's Cast Live continues from the Treehouse. Here's Chris Townsend.
All right, quickly, before we get to Robert Melvin, something's changed in Cody's life.
Oh, well, just tell you real quick.
Wait, are you not gonna play the breaking news sounder?
Well, this isn't like a radio studio. I gotta go through everything. And
This is like this. We're in the Treehouse. You should be able to make this stuff happen. Live from the ABC Sports Desk in New York, I'm Chris Townsend. What do we got?
a guy you like, a guy I like, a guy we all respect, famous actor. They're not working right now. He was on the Pat McAfee show earlier. The Brahma Bull, The Rock, the People's Champion, is back in WWE.
What?
I think just tonight, because he was in Boulder doing an interview with McAfee.
I was about to say, The Rock's not back into wrestling.
Well, I don't know. John Cena's back, and
The Rock is a I mean, he's The Rock. He's a superstar now. Global superstar.
WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. The Rock grew up right outside of Philadelphia. Just saying, could happen. I mean,
so they're saying he's back for the night.
I think
that's
it's for
your
the
news.
People love
in
The
front
Rock.
of Robert Melvin.
How do you? I mean, I think Bob would understand.
Get out of here, Bob Melvin. a record of 853 wins, 764 losses. That is a .528 winning percentage, taking the A's to the postseason 6 times, 3 AL West titles. His 853 wins as the manager of the A's trails only Connie Mack. That's it. Connie Mack, by the way, 3,582.
I think they said Bob would have to manage for like 50 more years.
Till he's 100. Bob Melvin is a friend. Bob Melvin, when I think of people in my career who have meant the most to me in my career, he'd be on a short list. People around here that have done things for me. Billy Beane, no question what he's done for me in my career. Bob Melvin, what he's done for me in my career. I'll always be indebted to these guys. They helped me in so many different ways. You have no idea. You bet I reached out to Bob Melvin to have him on before he comes back for the first time. Bob Melvin means a lot to a lot of people in this building and a lot of people in this organization. We love him. We wish him nothing but the best. Obviously, it's been a miserable year in San Diego, which he told us, and I've told you. It's about relationships, right? Bob Melvin told me in spring training, it's not good. Now there's an article today coming out of the San Diego Union Tribune talking about how the chemistry is brutal in their clubhouse. Chemistry or not, Bob said they have issues. They've got roster issues. They've got leadership. He told us that in spring training, and I tried to tell all you guys, not going to be good. Not going to be good. But Bob is obviously a great manager, a great Oakland A, and I do believe that his number 6 with Sal Bando should be retired. Sal Bando for being the captain, 3 straight World Series teams. Bob Melvin, the all-time winningest manager in Oakland A's history. Put it together, 1 number, you take care of 2 guys. They should retire number 6 for Bob Melvin and Sal Bando. Here's my conversation earlier with the great Bob Melvin. For the Bob Melvin Show right here on well, I guess we don't do that anymore. How are you?
Good. I do remember that.
Remember that?
Though, yeah.
Like 8 years of that.
We did that for a while. So, yeah, I don't blame you for leading with that.
Well, I think about you coming back to the Coliseum. It's more than just a guy that worked here professionally. I mean, this is a place, when you look around at the Coliseum, you've been coming to since you were a kid. You had a lot of great times as a teenager, as a student. You came back for the first time in your career in another uniform. What was it like rolling in here today?
So I got here early because I knew that it would probably be a little bit emotional for me. So first thing I did is I like to run the stairs here. So I got here, and first people that I have to see are Clay and Reba. And Reba didn't forget me. She came on a full sprint, so that made me feel good. But then looking around and running the stairs, and like I've done so many times before, a lot of, the history comes, and it gets you a little bit emotional here too. Like you said, I've been in this place since I was like 12 years old. And, my godfather was trainer of the Warriors, so I was over there a lot. I was at Raider games here. I was at Day on the Greens here. I mean, this property in particular is a place where I grew up. So to come back after a couple years, got me a little bit today.
Yeah, I was thinking about spring training, and it was an amazing moment when I was sitting there waiting for you in the visiting manager's office, a ho-ho cam, and the office is blank. There's nothing in there but a white envelope that says Robert on it. And it was from Steve Vucinich. And this was Steve Vucinich. We're going to have his retirement party and everything. But he had that letter for you, thanking you. I know there was some weird apology in there that he didn't need to, but just who Vuce is. I just think about the relationships, just not the players, because all the players have come through here, by the way. We've had everybody from Olson, Chapman, Simeon, we just had Bassett. They all bring you up. I don't even ask. They bring you up about what you've meant in their lives. Just talk about the relationships with this organization, from the players to a Steve Vucinich, what that's been like, thinking about that since you've left.
Well, if you hadn't have brought those people up, I would have at some point in time too. So there was just a closeness here in this organization, in my time here, because of the continuity here, we brought people up from the minor leagues. They came here. We brought coaches up from our minor league system. Keith Lippman was a huge part of that. There was continuity and leadership. It was Billy at the top. It was David. It was Keith Lippman. It was Billy Owens. It was myself. It was a coaching staff that was here for so long. So you form some bonds with these people, and then when the kids come up through the system, it's the same thing here. Everybody has pride in being in an Oakland A because everybody basically is here from the system. So I think that's the thing I think about most when you talk about the players here and the front office and ownership and everybody from here. It just felt like a family, and that's probably what I missed most.
Yeah, all the ex-players, they all bring you up and they all talk about, I mean, it's not necessarily about the wins and the losses. It's about how you help them grow as men and grow in their careers. You've gotten to now face them as the manager of the Padres. What's it like when you get to see them, knowing that relationship and how much you've meant to them as men?
Well, it's a two-way street. So they've meant just as much to me and helped me grow and helped me become a better manager too. And then when Marcus Semien comes to home plate and I have to watch that on the other side, it's not a great feeling. Matt Chapman tips his hat to me. Chris Bassett plays walk-up songs that I suggested for him in the past. So, I mean, it gets you a little bit for a while, but they're all such big parts of my career. And, but more than anything, like you talk about, it would always felt like a family here, and everybody had everybody's back.
Well, I know you're not shocked that every once in a while I'll get onto a topic and I'll rant and rave about it for a while and let fans know how I feel. And my latest is, with Captain Sal recently going into the A's Hall of Fame, having his family here, knowing what he meant. Once again, it's about relationships. It's about leadership. When we celebrate the 72 team or the 73 team, you've got these men who show up here who are in their 70s who still refer to him as Captain Sal. It just shows what a leader he was. And as a 3-time World Series champion, the numbers. And then I think about you as the all-time winningest manager for the A's and how much Sal meant to you in your life and getting you into a new career beyond your playing days. I love the idea of retiring number 6 for both of you. I know you're very humble and you're not going to talk about yourself, but at least can you talk about for Captain Sal how this number should be retired for both of you, especially what he's done for this organization?
Well, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in right now without Captain Sal. He gave me my first job, outside of being a player, and basically spoon-fed me, allowed me to see the front office, allowed me to see player development. He showed me what an entire organization looks like and how it's structured, and it meant so much to me, and it was so helpful to me. And then my first big league job with Phil Garner, I can't say enough about how much this guy's meant for my career. For me, more than anything, being able to wear number 6 because of Sal Bando, that's the thing that I remember the most, was putting that uniform on every day with pride, looking at that number 6 and seeing Bando in my mind on the back because I grew up watching that. That for me is the most important thing and what he's meant for this organization and for the people of Oakland and still does. So, you don't have to talk me into being a Sal Bando fan that's been there for quite some time.
I can see it. Padres come back next year, get his family here, your family here. We retire number 6. It could be perfect.
I don't know that we come here next year, do we? I think they come to our place.
Don't we flip-flop to each other's ballparks every year, or is it every other year?
Next year, San Diego.
Yeah.
Next year in San Diego. Okay, in 2 years, we'll do it.
We'll see if I'm doing this in 2 years. But look, it's Sal alone probably belongs up with those numbers up there.
I think about winning. Winning is hard. It really, really is hard. And hasn't been easy for you in San Diego this year. Obviously, the year before, you caught lightning in a bottle and you took it all the way to the NLCS. We were all rooting for you. I think people just forget no matter what. It doesn't matter how you build a team, how much money you spend, how you drive it. Winning in professional sports, as you said, you've been around it all the way back when you were a kid with the Warriors. It doesn't matter what sport. Winning is hard.
It is. And we proved it this year. So, with the expectations this team had based on where we ended up last year with the players that we brought in, it was supposed to be a lot different than it is right now. And I think this year is as much as any year, it proves that, payroll doesn't guarantee you anything. Look at the Yankees, look at the Mets, look at us. We're the 3 highest payroll teams, and none of them have lived up to expectations. So it's not about that. It's playing as a team, it's playing as a unit, and that's the most important thing. And for whatever reason, we haven't been able to do that nearly as well as we did last year, and that's why we're in the position we're in.
When you think about finishing strong, how tough is it when you've had the year you guys have had and still be preaching, got to finish strong, got to finish strong?
Yeah, well, they preaching it too, and you can see they're playing hard every day. They're probably playing as well as they have all year right now, so they're going to be a challenge for us. But you have to. This is what you play. I mean, we're major leaguers. We have to play until the last out of the last game, and it's important that we do. So, as a coaching staff here, that's something that we continue to preach. Hopefully, that comes to fruition, and hopefully, we finish out strong because it's been a frustrating year for everybody here.
So how is it in San Diego from the standpoint of what we always did with you? Who's the Chris Townsend in San Diego, and how much you doing down there? Is it like what we did up here, or is it completely different?
No, and I just saw Ken Korak there too. I don't do a radio show every day. I do one every like third week, but it's not like it is here where we do things, pretty regimented with these type of things and in the pregame shows. There's a lot going on in San Diego, and it's so a little different as far as that goes, but every place is different.
Well, I can't thank you enough for everything you did for us. To tell people I wasn't even working for A's. I was working for 95.7 The Game. The team and the station were going to go through a divorce. You had my back that whole time, and then we created this thing, A's Cast, which turned into A's Cast Live, which is now we're number 1 in all of Major League Baseball. And you were always so supportive of what we did. And you went above and beyond what most managers would do to help us. And I can't thank you enough for all the support you gave us. And one of the reasons we were able to grow the way we did was because of how you treated us.
Well, the feeling's mutual and how you treated me as well here. And I remember in 12 when we lost to the Tigers that last game, I was listening to the show on the way home, and I pulled over the side of the road. My daughter was with me in the car, and I called in because I wanted to thank our fans that year for what they meant to this team. And from that point on, it was just part of what we did here. And so, as much as you say that I've been such a big part of what you've done, congratulations to you and Cody, what you've done with A's Cast, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
And just real quickly, I know how much A's fans meant to you. They still mean to you. Something special is going to happen here. I don't know what it is, but these fans, you always cared about the fans. You always said when we had a fireworks night or a giveaway night that you wanted to perform well, you wanted to win for the fans. There's this fan base loves you. You love them.
Well, thank you. And it did. I used to get really nervous when we had really, really big crowds because you wanted to put on a good show for them. Because everybody, regardless of who's here on a particular night, they're watching, they're listening. It's gone on for years and years and years and years. Listening to Bill King and Ken Korak and all the great voices here, yourself now. It's a big part of A's baseball, so it meant a lot to me.
The great Bob Melvin right here on A's Cast Live. How cool is that? Great to see him. Hate to see him in that brown. But, yeah, good to see Bob. He's a friend. We root for him. He's a great manager. I can tell you what he meant to all those different players. I mean, every one of them. The most recent guy was Chris Bassett. Whether it's Simeon, Olsen, Chapman, Canna, all the guys that have come back and been back on A's Cast Live, they all talk about Bob Melvin and what he meant to them in their lives. More than just baseball. I mean, he's a leader. He's a teacher. Great leaders and teachers affect people more than just what happens at work. It's like how Cody affects me on my everyday life.
In a very positive way, I'm assuming.
In a positive way.
I have that effect on everyone.
Yeah,
That's my
do.
wife. That's why I think we never see each other.
So we're doing this it's great to have David Force. It's great to have Trevor May, Bob Melvin. So we're basically going from the guy that we used to have the Bob Melvin show. We have the Mark Kotze show. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I told Bob, I said, it's just because we're only in year 2 with Kotz and doing it. I said, Bob, it just doesn't have the same ring yet with the Mark Kotze show brought to you by Nest Betting. As the guy that does the spots for Nest Betting now, I'm so used to the Bob Melvin show brought to you by Nest Betting.
Bob Melvin's still sleeping on his beds from Nest Betting. I mean, think about that. There's 30 managers in Major League Baseball. Correct?
Last time I checked, yes.
2 of them sleep on beds from Nest Betting.
Yeah, it's a very good percentage, I think.
Ricky Henderson sleeps on beds from
Nest Betting.
Are you? You should. Nestbetting.com. I am going to go to a high school football game to watch my kids cheer. I will be back in the post-game show, taking your phone calls at 833-625-2278. You can call that number right now. Say hello to Robert. I'm sure he's there.
Oh, he's there.
And Jessica Kleinschmidt will be doing the A's Total Access pregame show brought to you by Chevron for me. Are we going to close this out with the great Mark Kotze?
Yeah, Bob Melvin will be the guest on A's Total Access from us.
Okay.
It was Tony Gwynn Jr., but sorry, Tony, you got bumped for Bob Melvin.
Tony Gwynn's got to be tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
You know what we should do tomorrow? A mixture of Tony. Somehow get Tony and David Forrest in.
Yeah, that was my plan. I'll send David Forrest too.
Okay.
We'll be good.
All right. Are we going to Kotze now?
Yeah, we'll go to Kotze.
Here is the skipper of your Oakland Athletics for his weekly conversation.
Kotze Show brought to you by Nest Bedding. Love where you sleep. Check out their location in the Bay Area, or you go online, nestbedding.com, for your mattress, your pillows, your sheets, you name it. Sponsor of the Mark Kotze Show. Back home to end it, 10 straight games. How do you feel about the homestand coming up?
No, it's a great way to finish up. I think obviously we go out on the road after this, but a nice long extended homestand. 3 good baseball teams coming in here tonight with San Diego and then Detroit, and then we'll finish up with Seattle, which Seattle's series could have implication for a playoff team that is going to be coming in here pretty aggressive probably.
I think about the old Texas two-step, what you did down against the Rangers and the Astros. I think you got to come away pretty happy with your ball club, a chance to take 2 out of 3 in Texas. You did take 2 out of 3 in Houston. Talk to us about that and just the growth of your team.
Well, I think, from the onset when we started talking about getting better and maturing these guys, these young players, the goal was to improve in all facets. And I think the biggest growth has been on the mound, really, and our pitching. Our pitching has done a remarkable job over the last probably 6 weeks of eliminating the free bases, reducing the big innings, and really just showing signs of maturity on the mound. But that Texas road trip, we talked about it. We wanted to go in and be competitive against 2 teams that had really beat us up all year, and I think I think we accomplished that. The 3-3 record was an indication of us having some success, but also for the most part, every game we had an opportunity to win and or to at least have a chance to come back and make it competitive at the end.
I think about one of your strengths is relationship building. You've done a great job of that. I think about it as a player with your teammates, as now a guy that's been in the game a long time. And we were just over our right shoulder was Bob Melvin, who we're going to talk to this homestand. And, the relationships you built in this game, obviously with Melvin, you were around him for years, worked for him. That's a strong relationship for you.
Yeah, it really is. It's going to be a little weird, to be honest, just seeing him on the other side. And I think this is his first time back in this stadium. So, we got something special planned for Bob. He doesn't know it, but definitely well-deserving. And, it'll be fun. It'll be a fun time to see and to manage against him across the dugout.
What's the one thing you think you learned most from him?
Yeah, I think the relationship side. I watched Bob deal with that group of players from 16 on, and build the relationships with the Matt Olson, the Matt Chapman, the Marcus Semien, and watched how far that went. And Bob is a mastermind of not just the relationship side, but the game and managing the game and watching the detail to it that he puts into it. And it's funny, he stopped in the office this afternoon and wanted to know why we bunt so much and why we're running so much. So.
You're not allowed to do that as the A's.
So we had a great conversation about that. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, I think about we can just look at numbers right now. Your starting staff is throwing the ball a lot better. Your pitching staff, obviously the young players are growing. Can't say enough about what your coaches have done. Your coaches have busted their rear end. We don't give them enough credit because when you're losing, it's tough. But your coaches have worked so hard, and we're really starting to see all of their effort pay dividends right now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up. That means a lot. The staff, they don't get any credit. They work really hard. We get here at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, and we talk about the guys. We talk about areas that we want to work on or we want to address with the individual players. And you'll see them out here working one-on-one. If you're out here early enough, Eric Martins has done a tremendous job with. Let's just take a guy like Jordan Diaz. Jordan Diaz, not real comfortable at third base in the minor leagues. He's been here. He's done a great job since we started putting him over there. And I think every coach to a man, the message was, hey, we got to continue to coach. We got to continue to stay positive with these players. And I think we've done that.
One question that I get a lot in the post game is about Ruiz and the direction for him. Because since the injury, he hasn't played as much, hasn't let off as much. Why has he not played as much? And what do you think the plan is? And what does he really need to get better at?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, we looked at the performance since he's been back, and he's struggled a little bit offensively. He's had some games, where he's shown flashes, and we've worked hard on making a swing adjustment with him. It hasn't completely translated, and you could take an example like a Shea Langleyers. We've worked hard for about a 2-month period with Shea, trying to make that swing adjustment, trying to get him more direct into the zone. And now you're seeing the results with Shea.
No doubt.
So I think that's kind of the mindset with Ruiz, was to try to, any player that doesn't have success is going to lose that confidence. And so we've tried to maintain that balance with SD, giving him enough opportunity. He's been playing. Obviously, you've seen the platoon kind of happen with SD and with Lawrence Butler, both young players. I mean, we have examples that we look at. You go back to the Matt Olson, who came here in 16. He only played 11 games. He was up the whole month of September, and that team wasn't a winning ball club. So trying to get these guys exposed, getting them enough opportunity and getting them the right amount of, at-bats and experience against the right on right or the left on left to be able to grow and to help them in their maturation process.
There's only been 3 Oakland A's catchers to hit 20 home runs in a season. Langoliers is going to hit his 20th. And who knows how well he throws the ball. We've talked about it's almost unfair how many pitchers he's had to deal with this year, and that affects your game. But just, as you said, from an offensive standpoint, just the 4th catcher to do that and the way he's hitting, that's really impressive. What does that mean for you in the future behind the dish?
Yeah, we've talked about Shea a lot, and we talked about how difficult it was going to be this season, and brought it up in spring training that he'd only caught a limited amount of games, and the responsibilities of a catcher are first and foremost. And you know what? I love the way that Shea's taken grasp to that. He's taken the leadership of that and said, hey, I'm going to invest in my guys. I'm going to make sure that on that end of it, I grow with them. I learn how to call games. I build relationships with them, and my offense might not be there right away, but now you're seeing the results of the offense kind of catching up. And I think for him, as we talked about, I made the comparison with Sean Murphy. If you look at Sean's first full season in 21, the numbers pretty much align. Sean may have had a little higher batting average, but now
he's got more pop.
Now Shea's got a little more pop. So, Shea hit all through the minor leagues, and sometimes when you get here, as we've seen, those challenges can be a little bit more difficult at the major league level. We're witnessing it with Tyler Soderstrom, who's going through those challenges. Has had success all through the minor leagues as well.
What about J.J. Bleday today? Of course, we're recording this on Friday before the Padres series. J.J. Bleday, great to see, had the knee injury, out there hitting. What are the expectations? Not a lot of games left. I know I'd love to see him again.
Yeah, no, the goal is to get him back and to finish the season here with us. That being said, he's still got progressions to make. Today was his first live batting practice off another IL member in Austin Pruitt. So, we're graduating him along. We don't want to obviously rush the process, but we want JJ to be completely confident he's ready, and he'll go out and test it and then hopefully rejoin us.
You were a gamer back in the day. There's no question about that. But do you remember your first full season, what that was like when you got to the very end? Because that was with, You're coming off winning the World Series with the Marlins. Now it's a total rebuild. So you know it's like going through a rebuild and going through a full season.
Yeah, it's a grind. It is. And that full season, I can vividly remember in August of my rookie season, our manager at the time was Jim Leland. Jim saw me in early in Houston. It was a 4-game series, and he actually had me go into the training room and take my weight because I had lost about 20 pounds, and I was in a funk, and that funk wasn't necessarily because of my swing. It was more because I was just so worn out. And it's a long season. These guys are going through it, and they're going to get this experience this year, and hopefully only get build on this experience for the years to come.
Did he think about taking you out to the track and fatten you up with a couple meals? As you guys were betting the ponies there in Miami.
Yeah, called a racetrack, right? And that was the pregame lunch meal. They didn't provide lunch in the clubhouse like we do now. So,
Yeah, it's amazing how much the game has changed. Well, let's just end on this. For you, how are you doing right now towards the end of the season? How's everything? Because, we talk so much about everybody else. We never really talk a lot about you.
No, you've asked me that question. I think it was a couple shows ago. And at that time, we were on probably a bad stretch. And, again, it's been challenging. We do see some progress, and that's what's, keeping us going and in the right direction. These young players have come here. We've been way more competitive over the last 6 weeks. And it's not necessarily all wins and losses. It's in how we've played the game, and it's every category has improved.
Your defense has been way better.
The defense has been very, 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 very good over the last couple of weeks. We've turned more double plays on this last road trip, and it's starting to show. That work that they're putting in every day is starting to show, which is great.
Well, I got to tell you, it's been a lot of fun so far this season. We got a couple more, but the last homestand, 10 games. So I look forward to it. And good luck to your ball club.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
That is the Mark Kotze Show, brought to you by Nest Betting. Love where you sleep. Check out their location in the Bay Area, or you go to nestbetting.com for your bet and all your betting needs. The Mark Kotze Show.
And that was Townie with A's manager Mark Kotze. That's going to do it for A's Cast Live. We want to thank Bob Melvin, Trevor May, Mark Kotze, and A's general manager David Force for stopping by here on a Friday edition of A's Cast Live in the Treehouse. Coming up next, Jessica Kleinschmidt standing by for A's Total Access, brought to you by Chevron. We will return on Monday for A's Cast Live ahead of the series against the Seattle Mariners. Everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll talk to you on Monday at 4 o'clock right here on A's Cast Live.
This is Chris Townsend and Commander Cody for Link Soul. You got to go to their website right now, linksoul.com.